here.
Alright, brace yourself as we dive into the world of 86. And trust me, this show has so many layers that it could keep me talking for hours.
Am I talking too much?
Blah, 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 blah.
So, grab your snacks, kick back, and let's unpack what makes this anime tick.
What is it, boy?
Because if there's one thing 86 does well, it's making you rethink your entire view on war, humanity, and the sheer weight of emotional trauma. First, let's look at the big picture. Everything in the Republic of San Magnolia appears to be modern, sophisticated, and clean, an ostensibly perfect utopia. Imagine it as society's equivalent of the Apple Store. Damn! There isn't any mess, everything shines, and it's almost too ideal.
Sounds too good to be true.
It has that nothing to see here feeling, and you might initially think, wow, these people really know how to do this. However, just like any glistening facade, the fractures soon become visible.
Here we go!
The Republic's citizens are obligingly unaware of the conflict raging outside their comfortable neighborhoods. More accurately, they are deliberately ignorant of it.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care.
You see, a neighboring empire has sent a group of rogue drones, known as the Legion, to attack the Republic. Normally, you'd expect folks to freak out when an army of killer robots knocked on their home, but no. The Republic's citizenry are too busy drinking lattes and thinking that the Legion is only a minor inconvenience. Why? Well, it's because they've delegated all the nasty jobs to a group of people they don't even consider to be human. And now is where things get real. The 86, named after the 86th district, where they are compelled to dwell, are the ones waging the war. They no longer counted as part of the Republic's population. The government has successfully dehumanized them to the point that they're only viewed as tools to be utilized in battle. They have no rights, no recognition, and certainly no access to the Republic's high-tech amenities. They're simply expendable. These guys are sent into war piloting juggernaut mechs. They're far from being Gundams. These juggernauts are more like battered, cobbled-together combat machines that barely accomplish the job. It's not really glamorous, and the survival rate, well, let's just say, if you're in the 86, don't make any long-term plans. But here's the problem.
Let's talk about this problem.
The Republic citizenry are so disconnected from reality that they believe the conflict is being fought by computers rather than people. Out of sight and out of memory, because the 86, well, they're not human. Most of the population doesn't even consider the war to be an issue. It's like a nightmare version of ignorance is bliss. Vladilena Malize, often known as Lena, is at the center of this morally bankrupt civilization. Lena is a handler, which means she directs the 86 on the battlefield from the safety of her command center. But unlike the majority of her co-workers, Lena has not bought into the notion that the 86 are less than human. She's one of the few individuals in the whole world that still understands what empathy is. Lena's entire story revolves around her effort to be a nice person in a system that dehumanizes others. She recognizes the 86 for who they are, genuine individuals with real lives and real problems. From the start, she makes an effort to speak to them with respect, which immediately distinguishes her from her peers. Most of the other handlers don't bother with names. They simply treat the 86 as numbers on a screen and dispatch them into battle without hesitation. Lena is unique, and that makes her both a hero and a target of criticism within the Republic's military. But Lena is not the only one facing unfathomable odds. Enter Shin Nuzin, or Shin for short. The commander of Spearhead Squadron, the elite unit of 86 that Lena is tasked with leading. Shin is the type of guy who has witnessed so many deaths that it's amazing he can still function. He's gathered the dog tags off every comrade he's lost and carries them around as a reminder of the lives that have been taken. And let me tell you, that's a lot of dog tags. Shin has gone through like a lot, and it's obvious. He remains cool under pressure, meticulous in battle, and appears almost distant from the pandemonium around him. But beyond that austere facade is a man drowning in trauma. Shin is more tied to the Legion than anybody realizes. His older brother, who perished in the war, may potentially be in charge of some of the Legion's warriors. Talk about a strange family reunion, am I right? Despite the harshness in Shin's life, he's not an emotionless robot. He genuinely cares about his teammates, even if he doesn't always express it outright. He assumes the position of Guardian, bearing the responsibility of keeping his colleagues alive for as long as possible, although he knows the chances are stacked against them. Shin's mindset is straightforward: continue fighting until the conflict is ended, or die trying. He doesn't really have much of a choice, however. Now let's talk about the remainder of Spearhead Squadron. They're not just background characters, they're completely developed individuals, each with their own conflicts, personalities, and motives. Raiden Shuga is Shin's right-hand man, a trustworthy guy who remains calm under pressure, and the closest thing Shin has to a confidant. If Shin is the cool, calculating leader, Raiden is the warm, practical pillar who keeps the squad grounded. Kurena Kukumila is the squad's sniper. She's fierce, precise, and has a big crush on Shin. Normally, I'd roll my eyes at the unrequited love in the middle of a war narrative, but in 86, it's handled with a lot more depth. Kurena's sentiments for Shin are more of an undertone, adding complexity to her character. After all, when you're fighting for your life every day, there's no time for love triangles or heartfelt confessions. It's more of the message, hey, I might die tomorrow, but I care about you in a quiet, unspoken way. It's subtle, and that's what makes it effective. Theo Ricca is another standout. He's the group's jokester, always ready to crack a snarky remark or tell a dark joke to lighten the situation. But like most individuals who use humor as a shield, a lot is going on behind the surface. Theo has seen his fair share of death, and jokes are his way of coping. It serves as a defense mechanism, but it also makes him one of the squad's most relatable characters. Everyone's used humor to disguise their grief at some point, right? The friendship between these characters is what propels the emotional core of the story. The action scenes are undeniably dramatic, but it's the quieter moments between the battles, when the squad chats, reflects, and mourns, that stay with you. These are young kids who've been pushed into an unimaginable circumstance and are doing everything they can to survive while the rest of the world just looks away. And let's not ignore the major themes that 86 addresses head on. Racism and discrimination lie at the heart of the Republic's treatment of the 86. It's a cruel reminder of how easy it is for those in positions of power to dehumanize others when it suits them. The 86 are viewed as disposable, with their lives worth less than the robots they pilot, all because of their ethnicity and status. I found the show doesn't sugarcoat any of it. It doesn't hold back from depicting the impact of war on both troops and the society that exploits them. The 86 are fighting not only the Legion, but also a system designed to eliminate them. Every battle serves as a reminder that their lives are disposable, and every defeat feels like a blow in the gut, since you know these individuals deserve so much more than what they've received. The show focuses on not only the physical toll of war, but also the psychological toll. PTSD is a key issue, as evidenced by how the characters deal, or fail to deal, with the stress of being on the front lines all the time. Shin in particular exemplifies buried trauma. He's so used to death that he's almost numb to it, yet you can see the flaws in his armor. There is a scene in which he finally breaks down, and it's one of the most poignant moments in the series because it reminds you that beneath his cool, collected appearance, Shin is simply a boy who's lost far, far too much. Meanwhile, the Republic is willing to exist in its own privileged bubble. The people there are willfully ignorant of the suffering that is taking place, right in front of them. This stark contrast to the 86's daily reality raises difficult concerns about how society may justify crimes when they aren't personally harmed. The animation in 86 is very beautiful. The show's production house, A1 Pictures, delivers its A game with fluid dynamic battle scenes that are both dramatic and gorgeous. The Juggernauts, while not as sleek as other anime mechs, have a harsh, utilitarian design that I find complements the series' brutal tone. The Legion, on the other hand, is frightening and unearthly, lending the battles a feel of something like high-stakes urgency. 86 suffers from a clear flaw. Its conversation is, well, fairly lousy. Characters frequently come across as either overly knowledgeable or absolutely stupid, conveying the impression that the author is pulling strings. It feels less like genuine conversation and more like a script pushing too hard to bombard the audience with exposition. Here's the thing though, the direction is what makes these scenes work. The camera angles are carefully picked, particularly for Lena and Annette. The shots avoid their faces and instead focus on random things in the room, emphasizing how hollow their friendship is. When you contrast it with the rapid-fire banter and overlapping voices in the Spearhead Squadron's slice-of-life scenes, the result is something warmer and more authentic. However, beneath the surface, it can still feel hollow. That's so, it's easy to overlook these flaws when you're engrossed in everything 86 does well. Despite what I've said about the dialogue, the show's basic concept, gorgeous animation, and intensity of action more than compensate for any of its flaws. And honestly, that's okay, because 86 isn't just another show. It's huge. I mean, we're talking about a story that addresses some of the most serious themes imaginable: discrimination, prejudice, and the horrors of war. It deconstructs the white savior complex with pinpoint intensity, and its messaging is about as brutal as a sledgehammer, but in a positive way. It doesn't avoid difficult questions, nor does it sugarcoat anything.
なんか懐かしいな。好きだったか、勉強。いや。
This is a sci-fi think piece that is really topical, with thrilling action, a well-executed plot, an excellent soundtrack, and drama that truly makes you think. And despite the clumsy writing and even superficial character moments, 86 is a show that stays with you. It isn't flawless, of course, but I find the flaws make it a little more human, which seems appropriate in a story about what it is to be human, doesn't it? The animation's quieter moments, however, stand out the most. The attention to detail in the characters' faces, as well as subtle variations in body language, add to the story's emotional weight. Shin glances off into the distance, and I could almost feel the weight of all he carries on his shoulders. When Lena clenches her fists in disgust at the system she's caught in, I can sense her desire to set things right.
それにしても、あんたのおかげでずいぶん生きちまいそうだよ。ありがたいが、もう数ヶ月でスピアヘッド。
The sound design also deserves recognition. The soundtrack is haunting, combining orchestral and electronic elements to precisely depict the world's tension and melancholy. The boom of explosions and the whirring of mechs punctuate the fight scenes, but the soundtrack shines brightest during the quietest moments. Some songs played during moments of reflection, hitting you square in the feels and heightening the emotional effect of key scenarios. Now let's discuss the source material. 86 is based on Asato. The Asato's light book series, and while the anime covers a substantial portion of the tale, there is still much more to explore. The light novels go even deeper into the world of 86, fleshing out the characters and the political scene in ways that the anime only hinted at. If you enjoy delving into the lore and really comprehending the complexities of a plot, the light novels are well worth checking out. However, the anime doesn't really neatly wrap things up at the end of Season 1. In fact, it generates more questions than answers. There are numerous cliffhangers, unsolved plot lines, and the impression that the story is far from over. While this can be annoying, it does mean that I'm looking forward to seeing more in future seasons. To summarize though, 86 is a unique mecha anime. It's a story that delves deeper than dazzling fights and fancy robots, tackling serious, thought-provoking issues such as war, racism, pain, and sacrifice. The characters are nuanced and very human. The animation is excellent, and the emotional stakes are enormous. It's a show that's gonna make you think, feel, and totally question the world around you. So, if you're searching for an action-packed, emotionally intense anime with a generous dose of social criticism, 86 should be at the top of your list. Prepare to be moved to tears though, because this show doesn't hold back.
Don't